To kick off our back to school season, we're going to talk about education in our state. Last year, Governor Tim Walz signed the largest school funding bill in state history, $2.2 billion. And this year, another bill and another $40 million that will be going to districts next school year. And while the bills have gotten full support, obviously, from Democrats, Republicans are arguing that despite pumping all of this money into our schools, student test scores aren't getting any better. And they are right in that aspect. New data from the Minnesota Department of Education shows students are far from recovering from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on their education. Hardly not good stuff in math and not in reading. Let's talk about reading, both overall and in the third grade, which is a key marker in reading progress. You see the scores just drop during COVID, and then they stayed down for the next 3 years. The money the state is pumping into education is supposed to fundamentally change how we teach our kids how to read, since the way it's happening now clearly isn't working well. So if these are the facts, what's all the money really doing? Well, one school already made the change, so Jennifer Hoff went to check it out, see if it's working. Hey, Jennifer.
Jana, a big chunk of that most recent funding, we need to point out, will go towards implementing what's called the READ Act. The governor signed that into law last year to try and boost those proficiency levels by shifting instruction away from just sort of trying to memorize the words to more phonics-based instruction. And not only are some of those programs free, the trainings are supported by science, and some schools are already doubling success rates.
Monroe Elementary may be a small school tucked into a Brooklyn Park neighborhood.
Yeah, I've been teaching at Monroe for 18 years.
Its teachers, like Sarah Zins, though, are making a big impact on so many students.
The thing I love about kindergarten is you're giving them a solid foundation to continue their education career, and a huge piece of that is that literacy piece.
Minnesota has long ranked in the top 10 across the country for its education quality, but recently its reading proficiency in particular has dropped, whether from racial to funding gaps and the pandemic, or simply, some might say, faulty training methods. That this school is now committed to changing.
It's hard to change, and it's hard to say, like, maybe I wasn't teaching the best strategies to read.
Teachers here are moving away from a sort of guessing game, relying on memorization and pictures, to the so-called science of reading, rooted in federally acclaimed research that finds kids are more successful when they sound words out instead.
Tap the sounds in gob.
Every letter has a picture that's intentionally chosen because the sound is very clear at the beginning of the word.
The concept is taught to kids up to third grade, a movement Monroe was on the cusp of 3 years ago, now mandated by new legislation called the READ Act, requiring districts to purchase curriculum in line with this technique.
What's the word? Gob. Yes.
Except there are some programs that offer materials for free.
Yeah, we wanted to.
David Parker helps lead Bridge to Read, a nonprofit specializing in tutoring turned into instructional resources for teachers.
It's equitably accessible across the state. If a district might be smaller or bigger, in either case have less access to resources, then this can be an option for them.
Parker has partnered with up to a dozen districts across the state, training some 16 teachers here. He says only takes a few hours to produce life-changing results.
What's taken so long to implement it into some of our schools?
And it's taken, I think, a public level of awareness that there's room for improvement in test scores, in the instruction for more students to get access to this. And then with that public level awareness, I think it's just, we've kind of reached a critical mass.
No matter its size, Monroe is ahead of the state, proving phonics is paying off. Zins reporting proficiency levels at the end of each year jumped from 45 to 90%.
You're providing kids a pathway in their lives that maybe wasn't there before.
That data there at the end of the story is driven by other state-approved measurements, by the way, and it is so impressive that Monroe was actually just awarded Minnesota's Future Award last year. That actually recognizes high-performing schools and education programs for its innovation, and also, Jana, helping all students succeed.
So Monroe's had this reading program going for a while. It's going to take some time if other schools haven't done it yet. Is that the hope and belief behind funding an entire bill to do it?
Exactly. Remember, this has been in Monroe Elementary now for about 3 years, so they certainly are ahead of the state in that sense. So they hope that give other schools some time, especially since the READ Act was just signed into law last year, and hopefully they will start to see some progress on these new training techniques. But they also say not a lot of time. They are seeing so much progress so quickly that they are really hopeful that some of those reading proficiency rates will really turn around.
Yeah, we are due for some progress, and hopefully all can agree that it's better when all of our kids do better. Thanks so much, Jennifer Hoff. We appreciate it.